back. Welcome, ladies, gentlemen, and Dark Reaper Exiles with Tempest launches to that 6+++ show. I am your host, Tom. I am back once again with the bang average 6 or plus team to talk all things Warhammer 40,000. And we have a guest. We do guests now. Get with the program. We're guest people now. And we've got a very cool guest because we've got the one and only Mike Porter on the show tonight.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, Mike. How are you doing? You well?
I'm great, mate. I've just got into my back into a 40k again. Tournament this weekend, first one for a long time. So I am buzzing to talk 40k.
Yeah, wonderful. And we've sent you up the river because we have promised that we're going to teach people how to become world-class 40k players. So there's a lot of pressure on you tonight, Mike. And obviously, Mike is a very, very good player with a lot of accolades to his name. And we will be trying to get into that and delve into the secrets tonight. But before we do that, we've got a little bit of self-promotion, and I'm going to introduce our cast of players, starting where I like to start with my dear leader, Chris. Chris, how are you doing?
I am very well, thank you, sir. How are you?
I'm brilliant. You know when I'm not on sort of term time, I'm feeling very chirpy. I'm very exercised, very, very chirpy right now. So you're all going to suffer for it. And how are you?
Yeah, I'm great. Had a lovely day.
And are you back at work as well?
I have been back at work. Been working with a bunch of year twos and year threes who are a bit small, a bit scary. They don't really know what to do. So that's been tiring. But other than that,
yeah, I bet
it's been fun meeting a whole bunch of new children.
You found time for any hobby?
Yeah, I did some Lord of the Rings stuff over the weekend.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
I got some new bases. Shout out to Generation Shift 92. They gave me. Well, they didn't give me. I paid for them. This isn't even free advertising. This is free advertising. I bought some bases and they were really good, and they've made my boring -2 models look quite sexy.
Really cool bases. Lord of the Rings models are not interesting enough on their own. They need good bases. Go and buy good bases. They are only tiny. They are only tiny little lads. I'm also joined tonight by my sensei, Welsh superstar, John Scriven. Scriven, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm all right.
He looks around behind him there for a minute.
Where's the Welsh superstar? It's certainly not me. I'm the guy that brings the drinks to everyone. Yeah.
Yes, that's important.
Yeah, exactly. Stay hydrated and all that.
That's why France.
How are you, John? You got any hobby on your plate lately?
I've been building some Lord of the Rings figures as well. I had an Elrond figure that's been in my cupboard for about 2 years, and I thought about time I've got him done because you guys need to be taught how to play that game correctly. So I'm bringing the elves.
Yes. I think elves. I imagine elves will be quite good in Lord of the Rings. That's my guess. That's what I'm also.
They're always good, aren't they?
They're good.
Elves are just good at stuff.
Yeah,
elves are just good at stuff. Let's not give Mike's secrets away just yet, though. We'll get to that in a little bit. I'm also joined tonight by Davey. Davey, how are you, my man?
Oh, hello. Nice to see you.
Davey, what's new with you?
Oh, man. World Eaters. I have bought Khan and 10 Jackals, and I'm ready to play some World Eaters again.
Yes, you've got the itch.
I love my Tyranids, but, it's just sometimes you just need a break and to smash things in pieces.
Yeah, I totally understand. I'm very excited to see what you do with them. And so it's Khan and Jackals. Are you going to go for the full Jackal Horde like someone has been unleashing in our TTS league? Not to give anything away.
Well, no spoilers, but we'll get into that. But it's, I did clock that Josie had put an advert out on Facebook looking for
more Jackals. Yeah.
That was the day after she'd played me, and I was like, "Oh, it went that well, did it? Okay, cool."
Wonderful. All right, we're going to shout some people out in the chat. We've got Vician saying, "Step 1, play your damage 1 flamer as damage 2." I'm sure that's an in-joke. Lee Clattermole, that's a very promising name, says, "Learn to weaponize the clock like Kiltman." I'm sure that, again, is an in-joke. Martin Dawes says, "Evening all." Gordon Chung says he's here to learn. I like the spirit we've brought to this. It feels like there's going to be a degree of hostility that I'm here for. I'm excited to see what that means. Obviously, if we try and talk to world-class players, we'll bring the world-class competitiveness with us, I don't doubt. Picklax is also in. Let us know what you're doing at home. And if you are in the chat, if you have questions for Mike, we are going to be asking one of the best players in 40k a bunch of questions. You guys can chip in as well. Feel free to chuck them in the chat. We'll try and get them fielded across the episode. Before we do that, we're going to briefly promote ourselves because Davey is going to talk about our TTS league we've been running, which is reaching its closing stages. Davey, off you go. Let's talk King of the Ping.
Yes, if you can stick that on the screen, Chris.
Surprise! And then that goes there.
For the uninitiated, this is our in-house TTS league we've been running across the summer.
Yeah, so I've got a bit about that, John. So some of you might be sitting at home going, what the hell's this King of the Ping palaver? Well, it's a members-only 40k Discord tournament, so you can become a member and you can enter this. We do them whenever. We're trying to do like 4, maybe even 5 a year. And basically you become a member and then you can join via the Discord. This was our second season, right? So we had 30 people compete. Some more members than 6++s this time. So the first one was a bit of a trial. The second one, though, we've had about 20 members and 10 6++s. We kind of split everyone up so that everyone gets to play each other. And out of those 6 groups we had, there are 6 winners vying for the championship. So that's what we're going to talk about just now. But if you are interested in competing in it next time, simply become a member and watch out for the window opening. I imagine it'll open in maybe 2, maybe 3 weeks' time.
Yeah, for our winter season, get involved. It's going to be really fun.
Our winter season, and probably rumor has it, because I say rumor, I haven't decided yet. That basically, because of the world championships of Warhammer coming up, we're going to do exclusively GW terrain.
I like that. That's nice. That's a nice little homage. Wonderful.
So we're into the quarterfinal stages. We've already had the first game happen. So I want to talk about this quickly before we go to the picture of like the finals. We had Luke Harris versus Josie. So Luke Harris was bringing the Nightbringer, Void Dragon, 2 Citans, a Chronomancer, 5 Immortals, 3x5 Death Marks, 3x1 Locust Destroyer, and a Tesseract Vault.
Hypercrypt nonsense. Love to see
in a Hypercrypt nonsense list. And he went against Josie, as we've alluded to. Angron, Demon Prince with the Helm of Brazen Iron for -1 damage. A Lord Invocatus for the Scout. 5x20 Jackals. 10 Jackals as well, because maybe you just need a little bit more. And then we had some Exalted 8-bound, some Spawn, and an Ecto Forge Fiend. Josie did win that game. It was a close game. And that has meant that she will go into the semi-final to play Zito. You can see Zito there.
Who's a Death Guard player.
Who is a Death Guard player. We've got those.
So the Horde meets the Death Guard Flamers. I'm intrigued to see how that one goes.
Absolutely. In the other side, again, this Thursday will be myself, your boy Swissley versus Doom Melon, in a Tyranid mirror match. And the winner Harley. Round 1 is UKTC round 1, because this tournament was in the build-up to the LGT. So it's all UKTC missions. My Doom Melon is Crusher Stampede. I am Unending Swarm. It is David versus Goliath. It is Biggies versus Smallies. It's going to be an absolute blast. You can see the list there. I don't want to. We've got a lot. You don't want to listen to me. You want to listen to Mike Porter. So I'm just going to crack on. But yes, Biggies versus Smallies is going to be a wonderful game. We might stream it. TBC on that. We need to get a commentator.
We're going to find out if the Norn cuts it.
I've not changed your voice. That should say Harley. These are the other lists that were in there. So Zito is all the characters in Death Guard plus some Plague Marines.
It's beautiful.
You get a lot in the Death Guard list when you do not.
You really do.
Mortarion, right? You get so much stuff. Yeah. And then Harley's list is actually basically the big thing he keeps talking about is this Wraith Knight that he's excited about.
It's a Wraith Knight.
And then he's got the Dark Lances. He's gone your Vrains. Ynnari. And we've got a bit of everything here. So it's going to be a very interesting tournament. So we'll keep you updated as it goes. And obviously we'll try and stream the final at least if we get the opportunity.
Yeah, good luck to everyone involved. It's been really fun to run, and lots of people having a great time playing the game. So hopefully we'll be back for an even bigger winter season after that. As far as our self-promotion goes, the only other thing to say is we are about to hit 6,000 subscribers, guys. So if you're listening, and I can see you in the chat, Nas, I bet you're not subbed. Sub now, and we can get to 6,000 subscribers. Nas is asking Mike Porter to make him better, and I think we do need that, because anything that can improve Nas would be really useful for Team England at this stage.
Are we just talking 40k at this point, or life in general? There's so much I could do with that boy.
I don't think we're going to manage to fix Nas in the time that we have allotted.
It's a long show right there. Maybe a series.
Yeah. Maybe life coaching is the way for Nas. Man, Nas, maybe you could seek Mike out and get some life coaching after this. Nas says he's subbed already. So someone else in the chat, hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. Let's see if we can hit that 6,000 tonight. And then finally, Chris, you had a little shout out as well to make.
Yeah, so obviously we get lots of lovely comments on our videos. Sometimes some not quite so nice comments. And we love those ones too. We love you all, especially you, Oliver, fan of my Grey Knight videos. We had one recently on a video I did about 10 tips to become a better player from Debbie, who I know listens to the show every week. And it's actually quite a weird, humbling way. There's just this person in America who's week in, week out, listening, enjoying the content, and it was really cool to hear from you, Debbie. So I just want to say thank you. And Debbie gave a load of ideas of other videos, like general tactics and tip videos, and we want more of that, right? We only have so many ideas. We don't know what people want to know realistically. We kind of just have a guess. So if you are interested in kind of specific videos and there are things you would like to know, then please, just leave comments in the various videos we do, and just offer them out, because Debbie, we've already worked out 2 videos we're going to do from your comments, so thanks a lot. But let us know and we'll provide.
Yeah, amazing. Thanks for everyone giving the feedback as well. Evening Pool Bridge in the chat as well, the very best Pool Bridge from Denmark. Nice to have you here. Okay, that's all the natter. That's the preamble, which is the best kind of amble there is. We are now going to move into the main segment, the main event, what you're all here for, the man himself. So, Mike Porter, 40k legend, done an awful lot of things in 40k, and I thought we might invite you, Mike, to give people the sort of brief story of you in 40k up until this point, and then we're going to just ask you a ton of questions about getting better at 40k. That's what we're going to do. That's the plan. So introduce yourself, Mike. Tell us a bit about you.
Yeah, so I'm Mike Porter. Apparently, one of the best players in the world, which is always a nice compliment. I have the most boring, normal story to how I started in the hobby and how I got into the competitive scene. I just literally just got into the game through the models, played with friends, and then started sort of going to local clubs and things. And then it was about 2025 when I went to my first tournament with a group of mates, and just got absolutely smashed, but loved every minute of it.
Sorry, is that
got the bug and everything sort of grew from there.
Smashed as in losing, because with Mike, is it smashed as in drunk or smashed as in losing, or both?
There's one thing. There's a recurring theme for all of my sort of Warhammer endeavors, and I do like to go and have a good time. It is very much a hobby for me, something that I go to enjoy. I don't take it very seriously, which annoys a lot of people. But
I think that's important, and I think that's the way to be. And so, at what point? I mean, I've obviously been aware of you as someone who was placing very well and doing very well at events for the whole time I've been playing, from sort of 8th edition onwards. At what point did you break out to being a sort of quite top level player in terms of your results, Mike?
Yeah, so I kind of used to go to Warhammer World for the Throne of Skulls events. I don't know if you
I've heard other people talk about these.
Yeah, and there was kind of like 1 or maybe 2 weekends a year where you'd go down to these, and your whole year would just be based around those. So, your group of friends would be sort of chatting and deciding on your list to take to that sort of 6-monthly event. And you'd go down and you'd see how you do, and you'd win some games, you'd lose some games, and then it'd be 6 months before you do it again. But it was very much, that group of friends that I played with, they were a really small group. There was 6 of us in total, and we kind of only played the armies that we had. So we kind of went to Throne of Skulls and we're like, oh my god, there's Blood Angels are a thing, and Tyranids are a thing, and oh my god, there's Dark Eldar, and we kind of had our eyes opened. And I suppose, to answer your question, when did I start winning a little bit more consistently? It was when I started to talk to more people, play more games, play more armies, have access to codexes and models myself. That's when I started to get a better grip on how the game works and how to play against things, really.
Yeah, 100%. And obviously, in recent times, you hit the heights of literally competing for first in ITC right up till the end. That was a standout. And you went to America and played in the LVO and went on an incredible run at the LVO, getting all the way. And I think it was Jack Harpster in the end. Was it? I can't remember if it was the final round or the semi-finals, but so close.
Semi-final.
Semi-final.
Final, really.
Yeah, 100%. We were following from home. So that's obviously an incredible adventure. Was that something that you did because you found yourself in that position, or had you set out to try and get there that year, or was it just one of the things where you're like, wow, I'm right up there, I should go and see if I can get it? How did you feel about it going into the OBIO?
I felt really confident. I tend to go through phases in 40k where if I've got a list and I've been on it for a little while, I tend not to lose with it. I tend to do really well. It's when I first pick up a list, or I've been out of the game for a little bit. That's when I'm not so confident, maybe going into one of the bigger events. But if it's something that I know, I've played against lots of different things, got loads of reps into it, I'm super confident. And I went into that LVO with my Harley Quinns, I do believe.
Yes.
And I've kind of been on 3 or 4 of those runs throughout my Warhammer career. And they tend to just keep going until an edition ends. So I was on one of those runs, probably the best run I've been on, if I'm going to be honest. So I was flying over there. I was picturing what was my winning speech. Who was I going to thank? And I had all these. I thought like a Shearer celebration across the top stage, and this is all going to come out. Obviously, it wasn't meant to be, but I felt confident because I knew my army so well.
Yeah, and ultimately pushing it right to the end and going down against one of the other people who was right up in there in contention as well. So absolutely amazing run. I suppose the question I had as well. So you've been involved with Vanguard Tactics in recent times. Obviously, last time we came across you in a tournament as a team. We played against you guys with the Vanguard team. So at what stage did that come in? And so what's your current involvement with Vanguard now?
So that was actually in that Vegas.
Okay.
Kind of officially sort of started to do things together. We had me and Steve Box had a little bit of a chat at LGT before that in the September. And I've kind of looked at a few different teams. A few different teams had approached me about maybe getting on board and doing things, but again, like I said before, it's a hobby for me. It's an enjoyment. It's the fun aspect. It's making a friend. All those cheesy lines that people come out with, but it is it's very much true for me. And I think when I got to know Steve and all the lads at Vanguard, I thought, if I am going to join a team, that's the one that I'd like to be a part of.
Yeah.
So we do lots of things. We talk all the time. We go to events together. I don't do so much of the coaching things because I've got quite a busy job and a busy life, and lots of other things outside of Warhammer. So don't get too much time for that. But it's just great to just be a part of it and meet up with them at the big events.
Yeah, amazing. And so they're a really fun bunch of lads, and they play the game the way you want to play it, right? So that's awesome. Yeah, shout out to Vanguard as well. Okay, so that's the story. That's the Mike Porter story, guys. We're now going to start trying to steal his secrets so that we too can become really good at Warhammer whilst also having fun. So if you in the chat have questions, do feel free to chuck them in. But I'm going to hand over to Chris because I know Chris had some questions in mind to get us started. So Capitan, over to you.
Yeah, so obviously a wide variety of abilities kind of listen to our podcasts and that sort of thing. So I was like, what do you feel helped you to get from that sort of that 1, 4, 2, 3 level player to get to that more consistent 3, 2, 4, 1 level player? Obviously you start going to tournaments and you kind of just learning the rules, learning the armies. What was that step which actually helped you to get to the point where you're going to a tournament and you knew you were going to be getting kind of like a 3-2-ish, like that first stage? What was important for you to be able to make that step?
So I guess the first tournament I went 5-0 at, or 6-0, was actually the infamous LGT, which was polystyrene.
Is that where you took Hurricane Bolter bikes?
Yeah, it was like custodes, and it was remembered for many things. Nobody remembers for the fact that I won it, but it did, and it was actually the start of me becoming winning consistently, large events, and the thing that I would say I changed from going 3-2, 4-1 at lots of other big events was I remember just going away and looking at lots of different online content and YouTube videos, listening to podcasts, talking to a lot of people about what list they're bringing, what do you think of this list? You know, the established players in the community at the time. You know, we had Josh Roberts, we had Anthony Chu. You know, having the conversations with them, or even just looking and listening to people who played against them and getting those ideas. Going to a lot more little tournaments just to get reps in with that exact army, not changing it or changing it as little as possible. And then kind of went into that event really, really well prepared. And as I placed my models down on that block of polystyrene in round one, I just felt like actually I've kind of got a game plan. I know how I'm going to do in this game before the end of turn 2, 3, where normally that's when I go, oh God, by which time it's normally too late, isn't it? So I did a lot of preparation before I went.
Okay.
So it's a sort of a much longer process run up to a particular event to actually get that success at the time. Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah. So many of us, obviously, we know our army quite well. We know of some other armies. We go to a tournament. We've won our first round. Great. Round 2, pairing comes up. What is your process from getting that pairing to kind of getting to the tabletop and working out how you're going to win the game?
Stole my question, Chris.
Do you like
this guy is good. Do you want the honest answer, or do you want?
Give the honest one,
give us the honest one, and then the teacher's one. Yeah.
So the honest answer. I mean, before I played Jack, it was the weekend of the Super Bowl, and I was actually at a bar watching, not the Super Bowl, so the semi-finals just before the Super Bowl. I was at a bar, sharing a beer with an American person who I'd never met before, and I was just trying to find out as much information as I could about the American football and what's going on and who these people and why is he such a but at some point before I do go into those big rounds, what I will always do is I will always look at the map that I'm playing on, and I will always look at the deployment, and I will always look at the mission, and then I will first of all I just make sure I knew exactly what I was going to do for deployment before I even got to the table. So that kind of thing is already done in your head. And then you can kind of start to use that time then as your opponent might be sort of getting his models out or telling you about, the list and things. I've kind of resolved a big part of the game already in my head pretty much.
Yeah.
And I can then start to look at the army really in detail and just really be thinking, right, how am I going to start to, first of all, take out the bits, the units and things that I'm worried about that can hurt my units, and play the game. So it's very much just looking at the map itself and looking. And then when I get to the table, then I'll start to look at the list and things like that.
Yeah, I was going to say, because it's like, do you prioritize like I'm gonna these are the enemy units I need to take out, or is it more your army does a thing and you're focusing on how to get that army to do the thing, or is it an equal balance of both? Or
yeah, so it's funny because I've been playing Blood Angels now for the last three big events, and before that I would say the main army that I was using was my Harley Quinns. With Harley Quinns, it was very much right. I am going to try and score this number of points.
Yeah.
I'm not massively fussed with killing things and beating me in that respect. So it was very much looking at the elements of somebody's army who could stop me from scoring those points. And then it would be then allocating resources to take those bits out so that I could just go and play my game, score 95 points, and win that way. With my Blood Angels, it's a really simple list in a lot of ways because it's built around a certain number of. I mean, Tom, we played, didn't we?
Yeah. It's got 5 hammers.
It's got 5 big things, and if my 5 big things kill your however many number of big things, then you've nothing left to kill. That, so it will eventually roll over you. And it's a very different way of playing the game. But it's still, it's just trying to get that win condition, and you need to know what your army needs to do to win, and how your opponent's army might try and stop what you want to do.
100%.
And that's very much the simple thought process I'll go through when it comes to the that getting to the table. How am I actually going to beat my opponent?
Mm-hmm.
Can I just ask you a question, Mike? On you said that you'd look at the map and you'd have in your head how you deployed, but you also said you would look at the map and plan out maybe what you were going to do. What are you looking for on the map? Is there anything in particular?
So the objectives and the terrain in relation to those objectives. So is there somewhere I can hide a unit and score some points? And then obviously with the asymmetrical boards that we play on in the UK, you then know, well, okay, so my opponent's thinking exactly the same as me. How do I then stop him? I know what he's going to try and do. He knows what I'm going to try and do. So how do I make sure that I do my bit and I stop him from doing his bit?
Yeah.
And then also you're looking for staging points as well. So I love those maps with the little squares on. So you can work out exactly from this building to this building. I know my death company, for example, will need a 6-inch charge. But from this building to this building, if I just do something slightly different with them, they might only need a 4-inch charge. And it's just then sort of getting in your head, right, where do my units need to move so they can do what they want to do?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. I guess this is quite a specific question. You've obviously played a bit of 10th now with the secondaries and that. What's your secondary approach? Do you, because I'm curious, like lots of players seem to do it in different ways. Some people like to redraw like every turn. Some people like to bank the CP. Some people kind of just are happy to throw away cards all the time. Like, is there particular cards that you think you always want to throw away? Do you have any like general secondary card philosophies you've been using?
It's a bit simple playing Blood Angels, I'll tell you that. Because you kind of just do what you want to do. But I mean, objective cards score your points, and they also get your CPs as well, which I think is really important. And you quite often find, I mean, our game, Tom, was a classic example. I knew that with the amount of fights first and move
he
back
knows that
and
all these coming.
Shenanigans, I need those 4 CP for fight on death and for interrupt. And if I don't have those 4 CP, Tom gets to run the game.
I hate Blood Angels players who save their CP and throw their cards away, which is what Mike was doing. After turn 1, I was like, oh, brilliant, here we go.
Yeah, so it's using the secondary cards to your advantage for your CPs. But then I suppose for the game, it depends really. I'll kind of have a rough score between 25 and 35 that I'll always want to get. And there's enough cards in the deck with cycling through for most armies. If you write your list properly, that is, they should be able to score those fairly reliably. And then obviously you might want to push that for differentials if it's teams or if it's a tight singles game, and the primary is looking like it's one of those missions where you're both going to score 40 and there's nothing you can do. So then you've really got to pay a little bit more attention to your secondary game and thinking about, moving units off objectives for myself, making sure I've got something to be near the center of the board every turn. I've got things in every army I've ever taken will have redeploy, so the backfield's always open. So the secondary game starts when you're writing your list of things. You have to have that chunk of your list that's designed to go and score those points.
Yeah, 100%.
I've got more questions, but does anyone else have a question?
Yeah, I'm going to interject. I'm going to take this to a list writing place because one of the places I was first aware of Mike was observing all his lists in like Goonhammer and stuff like that. I used to consume that very voraciously. And my question for you, Mike, is what is your favorite list you've ever written? And what was the sort of process and context for you choosing that list at that moment in time? What led you to that list? I appreciate that's massive, but is there like a standout, or is there like one or two that you really look back on very fondly as one that you cooked up that you really liked?
I'm actually a terrible list writer.
Oh no!
And my WTC colleagues will attest to this. I don't. What I don't do is I don't write the macro of a list. You know what I mean? I will very much take somebody's idea, and then I will then add my own little bits.
Refine on it. Yeah.
I mean, my current Blood Angels list was from a tournament in Blackpool. Okay. This lovely guy called Oliver, and I was using, what was I using? I was using Ironstorm. So it was all the vehicles, all the guns, and he was using Blood Angels. I mean, It's like, oh, bloody just look rubbish. Here we go. This is going to be a nice little game. And anyway, I started shooting at those sanguinary guard with sanguinary priest units with a 5+ skill and pain and the armor contempt, and all that. This is an amazing list, and you've got the hitting power, and then I started to formulate how I would maybe change the list that he was using. So the list that I've currently got, I'm quite proud of, because I kind of feel like
it's my least favorite Blood Angels list to play against, which I think is exactly right. I think in terms of, it's got Sang Priest in a couple of 10-mans, one's Van Vets and one was the jump back intercessors, and it just, certainly from a Drakari perspective, which is obviously one of the things in the meta that's trying to prey on Blood Angels, it just means you need ridiculous commitment into those things to deal with them compared to the normal units, which I think throws off how people think a Blood Angels game is going to go, right? It buys you a little bit more durability in a couple of clutch places on the board. That was very cool. Okay, now that's good. So what we're learning so far is that he's an excellent pilot, but sometimes he needs to be led to the water. With there's nothing at all wrong with that. Yeah, exactly right. 100%. Okay, I might shoot another question in. What is your opinion on sort of 10th edition as compared to other editions of 40k you've played, in terms of the overall play, in terms of its place as a competitive game? Do you like it? Were there other editions you liked more? How do you feel about it?
It's probably the least I've enjoyed the game.
Okay. Okay.
And that could well be because I've got through a lot of editions. You know, maybe my time is coming. You know, it's time to hang the hat and retire. But it is. I find the game at the moment is very, very samey.
Okay.
And certainly sort of for the mission, and I know they've changed the missions and things, but it just seems that everything's kind of doing the same kind of thing. There's no army that's really got a unique flavour. There's, they're either fast and they advance and charge, or they've got these little shenanigans to move and teleport around, or they're incredibly durable, and then Games Workshop go, oh no, we've made another incredibly durable army again. And it does just feel a little bit samey. I'm in the minority. I absolutely loved the back end of 9th edition. I thought that was the best the game's ever been. I felt like any army could have actually rocked up and done well. I mean, Blood Angels won LVO, for goodness sake. But also that every army felt different and had its own little flavour to it as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm not massively enjoying the game itself at the moment. It's becoming even more of a social thing.
Yeah, that makes sense. And I think there was a sort of techiness and complexity tonight that I think if you were a sort of a high stakes comp player was really fun, because it felt like you could really put your own stamp on things, and armies did feel radically different to one another. And yeah, I think it's one of those weird side effects of the detachments thing, where actually, although lots of armies have lots of options, actually the same things keep popping up across books, which means actually, you're playing armies that, it's Tau jumping 3-inch deep strike, it's Necrons 3-inch deep strike. It's the same thing over and over.
And I tell you what I do miss, Battle Scribe. Oh, that was great. What, you just didn't need anything else, did you? The whole community, every army was in there in one place. And it was, it was just such a simpler time. And I've got 3 points left over in my list. Somebody's getting a power sword.
Yeah.
Come on. Whereas now it's, I think I get it. It's a lot simpler, isn't it? But I do miss those little tweaks that you used to make to your list.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's a lot of free time I've just gained back as far as list writing goes. I used to be doing, to be at that into the evening, just tinkering away, and it doesn't really happen now. Chris, do you want to take over on the questions for a second, mate?
Yeah, so obviously you've played a fair few armies in your time. What's your process? So you've chosen a new army. You're like, right, this is the one I want to do. How do you go about learning that new army quickly enough that you can effectively put it on the tabletop? Because for me personally, the first time I play an army, I basically forget how to play 40k. It's genuinely embarrassing how badly I played my first game with a new army. So what's your sort of process from that first idea where you're like, right, this is my next army, to getting to that first game? How do you go about learning the army effectively?
So I'll try and watch as many people play it as I can. There's so much online content now, isn't there? So many sort of battle report videos, and live streaming and things that goes on. So it's really easy to go and see somebody who obviously knows the list play it. So that's normally my first port of call. Then I'll go and have a little read of the rules, see if there's anything else that stands out, see if I think, oh, actually this unit could go in and serve a role. But I'm very much a player who needs to play on the table. I have to get reps in. It was fascinating for me when I went to Serbia in 2019 with the England team for the first time. It was fascinating just seeing different people's approaches to new armies and learning them. And there was some members of the team who could sit with a codex and they would just create this brilliant list, and then they put it on a table and they would be amazing at it. There were other players who would need to put the models on the table and play the games. There were some players who didn't want to play their army when they first got it. They wanted to watch somebody else play. And there were people who just didn't even need to write a list or look at the rules. They'd just pick it up and be like, right. And they do well with it. And it was really interesting to see the different ways that people can approach it. For me, it's the more games I can get in, the more reps. That's how I get to learn it.
That's actually an interesting one to pick up on. If we're talking about practice games and reps, is there anything you do differently when you play in terms of your practice games to get the most value for them, or is it just a case of playing as many as you possibly can?
Yeah, I mean, the practice games I play sort of locally, a fair amount, but it's very much just to get go through the process of, right, what do our models do, how far do they move, how many dice do I roll when they're shooting and combat and things. And it's very much tournaments where I start to get to know it really.
Yeah.
And it's those competitive games where you both want to win, don't you? You want to do it in a nice way, but you both want to win. That's where I think you make yourself learn. I'm quite a lazy person. I'll procrastinate quite a lot, and so I need to be forced to do something, which a tournament definitely does that.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. Obviously, we're UK based. We've got lots of UK based followers who play on the UKTC scene. What do you think in terms of the current UKTC missions? What would you be looking to include in terms of your kind of like list building or army choice? We've obviously got the LGT coming up. All the listeners here in the UK are going, I want to win the LGT. You can now help someone win the LGT, Mike. So what's your advice for what sort of army do you think is going to win the LGT? I'm also going to get you to tell me what army you think is going to win the LGT.
Nice, let's do that, yeah.
Yeah, but what do you think sort of armies are going to win the LGT? What are the best placed armies to do so? And in general, list building and army construction, what do you think excels in our missions and terrain pack?
Well, LGT is great, isn't it? Because it's like the next big one after WTC.
Yeah.
WTC is famous for all these new lists coming out.
Yeah.
And, I mean, that's where my Harley Quinn list with the 8-vote Harley Quinn troop list came from. I saw Patrick from Poland running that, and I was like, right, that is it now. And then I just went on a roll with it. So if you look at WTC, now the terrain's very different. Obviously, it's a team setup, so it's very different to singles. But if you look what did well there, I mean, I don't think you can look much further than the French lists. I mean, that Black Templars Horde, how well it will do on LGT terrain, I don't think it will be quite as good as it was at WTC, but it will still be incredibly good. And if you are going there to win the event, you best have a plan to kill 100 Space Marine bodies with various feel no pains and whatnot. Which there are lists definitely out there that can do. Blood Angels definitely being one of them. So that's going to be quite a big one. But then I still think there's a couple of sleeper lists out there. There are lists, the Tyranid list. I won't reveal the exact nuances of it because I don't understand them fully. That's definitely part of my research before I go there. But looking at very good players playing that list and talking about what it does, I think that could really catch people out. And then you've obviously got your pure stat check army at the moment, which is your Dark Angels with 15 stupidly hard to kill bodies that just waddle in somewhere and score points and take up an enormous amount of resources to kill. And, you know, we see it, don't we? Every sort of few codexes. You know, it was Wraithguard last time, wasn't it? With Wraithguard with the little character, and you've just got to have an answer to so much. Winning London is incredibly hard. I think you've almost kind of got to come with a list that nobody's quite expecting. Like Liam last year with the CSM list. Yeah, I don't seem to remember many people wanting something like that, and yet
no, he defined CSM. Yeah, exactly.
And he's obviously an incredible player. But he wrote a list. He thought, right, Eldar's the main scary thing, so I'm going to write a list that definitely beats Eldar and then does pretty well against everything else. I think it's harder this time because I think you've got to be able to cater for 100 Space Marine bodies. You've got to be able to cater for things popping up all over the place, lots of mech and things. So. Yeah, I think it's an interesting one. I wouldn't like to put money on who's going to win it.
That's really disappointing.
But one thing
I found it very interesting. I found it interesting looking at the lineups for last year's LGT because there were several of the French winners from WTC this year were in that top 10, right?
We cannot let the French win. That's one thing.
Imperative that they've had enough for 1 year. Cannot let them do it again.
Too much.
So we're looking to our French British Nas. If you're still in the chat, we're looking to you, Nas. Stop them. Go on, do something about it. Get rid of them. We don't want the French.
18 Bullgrin. There we are. 18 Bullgrin.
Yeah, 18 Bullgrin. That's a thing as well.
Yeah, that'll put dents in it, definitely.
Yeah, that's not a bad thing. And we've got Paul Bridge asking, do you expect new points before LGT? Yeah, I don't think so. It's going to be right on the cusp. It could happen just before. It's not, doesn't look that likely. And lovely to have you here as well across the tabletop. Glad you're enjoying it. And yeah, Guard will do well because the secret's out about Guard now. They've not gone away. They've just metamorphosized into something else, and they are still very, very, very good indeed. Mike, I have a question. So, who is your single favorite 40k character? It's a fluffy question. Go.
What's fluff, Tom?
Good answer.
I read the books, don't you worry about that. My best 40k character. Oh, I couldn't say Gabriel Loken, but he's 30k, isn't he? When I read the Horus Heresy books.
Yeah, I'd let you have him though. I'd let you have Loken. Loken's brilliant. Yeah, I've got a lot of time for him. He's a good perspective to have in the game.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what there was as well in 30k. There was a Night Lord's character as well, who's just absolutely
Severus or something.
Sevatar could be Sevatar. Sevatar is a badass. There we go. That gets my vote, Mike. So we like Night Lords in this house. Okay, very nice.
I've got a couple of questions if I can jump in.
Go on, Davey. Off you go. Let's go.
So two of them. First one, your kind of iconic list that people would remember you for is, I think, is Blood Angels and Harley Quinns, at least recently. There's a style there, right? There's some common ground in between those lists. So, do you have a play style, or do you not believe in play style and just play anything?
That's a great question.
That is a really good question. And again, I'm going to go back to my time in Serbia, which really opened my eyes to sort of how competitive and how skilled people can be at the game. And I was very much, I didn't have a play style then. I just used to adapt and, just do my own sort of thing and not really think about that. But as I watched players play certain armies, Sean Naden's always a game that I will go back to. Sean Naden completely destroyed me at 40k. I got 20 nils, and he didn't just beat me on the tabletop, he beat me sort of mentally as well. And Sean's play style, he was so aggressive with what he did. And I remember just thinking, I've played the list that Sean was playing, and I had aggression never even entered my mind. I was just being so defensive with it. But he was a player who obviously knew when to be aggressive and when to be defensive. So I took away from that. I thought, right, I need to go and play a list that forces me to be aggressive, which was, at the time, it was an Eldar list. Surprise, surprise. And it really emphasized skill in the movement phase, which is the one phase that we have almost complete control over in the game. It's the most important phase, and it really that list really helped me to mastermind what the movement phase did and how to be aggressive with space, which I learned an awful lot from. And then I kind of felt like I've got this now. I've got this as a concept, as an idea. Okay, I need to play something different. I need to play something that's quite defensive and just sort of grudges its way, sort of World War One trench style, inch by inch, point by point. So I started playing Death Guard. I thought that they are literally the ones to do that. And again, I learned then how to deal with armies coming at you instead of you doing all of the aggression, and how you can actually start to pick your matchups and pick your battles and force your opponent into going to places they don't want to go, and adapting that as a play style. And then moving forward sort of over the next few years and another WTC, to then picking up the Harley Quinns, which were an incredibly fast, aggressive list, which I really enjoyed, but also they were an incredibly reactive list that could play defensively. They could just sit behind walls and be like, right, okay, you don't want to play the game. I'm not playing the game because I'm going to score all these points. And you're going to then realise that I'm up on points, so you're going to react. And it's when you react, I've got everything in place to go and react to what you do. So I've learned to play both kind of styles and when to play them, which was really important. But my favourite play style, I play Blood Angels at the moment, so that's obviously a big clue. And when I went to the last WTC, my role on the team was to score big points, big differentials. And I felt like I didn't quite have the skill set at that time to go and really push for, I'm going to stop you scoring points and I'm going to score my own points, and I'm going to win by 40, 50 points, rather than the singles mindset is I want to win by 1. So this current list now, this Blood Angels, I picked it up with the view to, if I went to another teams event ever, I would want to be able to take a list, if that was my role on the team, and I would want to know that I have had a list that I can practice and really be aggressive with, and really start to push those differentials, which this list does perfectly. But then you come up in a singles matchup, like when I played against Tom, and it was a very hard game. If I'd have been like that against Tom, the game would have been his easily.
I wish you had.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'd looked at your scores before that round. I was like, "Oh, good grief!" But then that wasn't one where you could.
Yeah. The teams events that I've been to with it as well, it's a list that does win very, very big, and it's because I've practiced that aggressive play style and really thinking, constantly looking at the score sheet every single turn, thinking, right, what are the points now? How is my opponent going to score points? I need to stop that and score my own points.
Yeah,
grand. And then just to take you back to Serbia, something really interesting you said earlier about the American chap. I always forget his name.
Sean Naden.
He said you said he beat you mentally as well, and I think that's something personally I do whenever I come up against someone. I kind of have a back of my mind perception they're better than me. I definitely come up against this kind of thing as well. How do you manage that? And generally, to add a tack on a little bit onto this, I just remember I don't remember many 40k games that I watch on TV, but I did watch you, and I've just got this image of you and Brad Chester talking out your game in the most calm manner I've ever seen. You're giggling away with each other in the semi-final of a massive tournament. How do you keep so calm in these situations as well?
Oh, cool.
I just think it's where Warhammer fits in your life, I think, is really important. And I think for me, it's a hobby, something that I enjoy. I've got a wonderful family, wonderful job, loads of friends. I've got a very busy, exciting life, that I really enjoy. Warhammer is just something that I do. And so that really helps. I've also been playing the game for a bloody long time. We're going back 20 years since Throne of Skulls was around. So that experience, and I've been to World Championships. I've won World Championships. I've won the biggest GTs. I've kind of been there and done everything. That really, really helps. And that's one of the things that I struggle with now with players coming into the game. There's a lot of people who it means a lot to them to win. And I think that's quite a dangerous place to be, because it can bring out the worst in some people. It can also be blooming good fun to play against somebody like that, because you have a really good competitive game. But I do think you've seen it more and more now in the hobby, that especially with the bigger events becoming more and more sort of frequent and available, I think you're getting more people who winning is too important. And that's when you see people getting aggressive and it's because it means a bit too much to them. And me and Brad, I mean, Brad's older than me, which, one of the things that we were joking about, he's been there and done that, and he's got a very similar experience to me. So we were just very much, win or lose, we're going to have a good time. We're in Vegas. We're going to have a beer afterwards. And luckily I ended up just about scraping past him and winning it. But it is, and I do think when you do get into that situation, that heated situation, you've got to remember, why am I here? I'm not winning millions of pounds in this game. It's not my livelihood. I do want to do well. I'm an incredibly competitive person. I do make my children cry when we play Monopoly, as my dad did with me as well. And look where it got me. But it's just taking a step back. Why am I here? I'm here with my friends. I'm here enjoying the hobby that I'm playing, and just trying to remember that, and remembering that people that you're playing against are just people. I met a lovely chap this weekend who was a bit nervous to play against me. It was round 4, and I said to him straight after, I said, "You don't need to be nervous. Come on, let's go and have a drink. Let's go and we'll have a good chat." And we spent a good hour in the pub. He was telling me all about his life and then what he's up to, and we got to know each other. And very much it's just that perspective is we're here to have fun.
100%. I think that definitely helps. Remembering that every single player you can play is just someone pushing around the models with the rules and the dice the same as any other army out there is huge. And there's not some magic behind it. The more you know and understand those armies, the closer those games feel over time as well. I had a question, Mike, which is, what would you say if you could pick like a couple of things that you see people doing in terms of like mistakes that sort of stop you developing, stop you learning and getting what you need from games? What kinds of errors and traps do people fall into that hold them back from developing as a player, would you say?
I think the biggest one, it's the obvious one, isn't it? It's people blaming dice. I've done it. We do it now. Well, I've rolled 7 ones. 7 ones. And it really does get to it. And it's the easiest thing in the world to blame, isn't it? But dice are out of your control completely. Unless you're that guy from Element Games who took most dice, you're supposed to have dice that are out of your control. And so, it's really important. I always do that. If I do lose a game, or if it's a team event and I've think, should have got more points there, I'll always go back over that game. I remember a game against an Australian guy who I was playing like an Eldar list, and Ella with a few Harley Quinns, and he was playing pure Eldar, swooping hawks that used to do all the moving around stuff. And he, I tried to kill Baharoth, and I fired, I think, 40 Dire Avenger shots at Baharoth. He'd already died. I caused 38 wounds. You know where this is going, don't you? 38 wounds. The guy had 2 wounds left. I put him on a 4+ invulnerable save. And he made 37 out of those 38. 4 save. And then I thought, don't blame dice, Mike. Remember what you tell people. I was coaching at the time. And don't ever blame your dice. Don't blame your dice, Mike. And then I thought, okay, it's fine. I can still get points. And then that bloody thing that survived those 37 out of 38 4-up saves then went on to kill almost a third of my army. And at which point I went, but then when I actually went away and reflected on the game, after probably about 6 months, then I thought, well, actually, I could have done something so different at so many points to make sure that actually didn't matter. And that is the biggest thing I see people making mistakes is when they go away and they don't actually reflect on what they have done that they were in control of.
That's great. Cool. Has anyone else got anything else?
I was going to say in the chat, Pickalax asked quite a while ago.
Yeah.
Okay.
He said, "How would you return Harley Quinns to their former glory in the?"
This is such a Chris question.
I don't know what I'm interested as well. Yeah, obviously, you played a lot of Harley Quinns, and I played them for quite a while as well. I really enjoyed them. It felt like intense. I'm not sure when we played at LGT, you were using them there, and then. What would you change? Is there a simple fix, do you think, to make them interesting, or do you think it's going to take a bit something a bit deeper?
They just need to hit a bit harder. They need advance and charge, and they need to hit a bit harder in combat. I think they were a bit silly with the advance and shoot in the boats and get out of the boat, and back in the boat. I think that mechanic is a good mechanic as long as they are not so brutal that they'll go and kill most things in the game. Limit them to maybe only 3 squads. I know they can be battle line at the moment, and if you just make them 3 squads of troop, will make them really, really punch out of the boat and give them a bit more movement to get into combat.
They just feel slow, don't they? For me, like losing the advance and charge to completely change the play style.
They move 11 out of the boat, don't they? Or you can take them. You see a lot of people take the big brick of 10 now, don't you? With the Eldar, the cat lady, and I quite like that unit looks fun to play. But it's not an army, is it? It's just it's a bit of a gimmick unit. So I just think that they were just such a fun army to play. They were horrible to play against, though, weren't they? That was the problem, Chris. And it's kind of it's kind of getting that balance, isn't it? And I think as long as you just a bit more movement, I kind of feel like they go into combat on their own, and they just I know they're supposed to do dances, aren't they, to tell stories? But I feel like they are literally just going and dancing in front of people. And these Space Marines are like, well, what are you doing, guys?
I think it'd be nice for like the Shadow Seer and the Solitaire to both feel very relevant and very takeable. I think that would be really good. Solitaire's almost there, but not quite.
That's my favourite model in the game, the Solitaire.
Yeah. Chris's Solitaire has let him down so many times.
Off he goes.
Every time that Solitaire. Every time I build a list, I'm like, oh yeah, but let's look again at this data sheet. He could do that. He will go and kill that character when I've got Assassinate, and then he fucking whiffs, doesn't he? Him and the old troop leader,
He's got 10 attacks. I've got fate dice. I've got all this. Look at it. He's going to go and kill that Imperial Guard. Platoon commander. No,
never.
He's going to move to 24 inches to get there, but then he's just going to whiff, isn't he? And then he's going to fail 3 up in vulnerable saves and
just
die.
like that.
He's great. He do. You just got to keep trying. Just keep. Maybe this time, Chris. Maybe this time.
Maybe
he'll be the guy. All right. We got any other questions, guys?
I've got one last question.
Go on then, Scrivo.
It's my first and last. There we go.
You can get the party shot. Let's have it.
I've been dreading this.
So you're talking about that you're playing a lot of Blood Angels at the moment, and you've really enjoyed how that list works. How do you approach a pretty big change? So, for example, your current list, you're using a lot of Jump Pack Death Company with Sanguinary Priest with a Jump Pack. A book comes in, like the new Codex, takes all that stuff out. How do you kind of approach those sorts of changes that don't just kind of recalibrate the army, but kind of gut what the army does currently play for you? And kind of how do you kind of keep the same feel? Do you just then look at other armies, or do you just try to kind of adapt how you already approach the army?
Yeah, I think when you strip the current Blood Angels list, which is old sort of index rules, if you strip it down to its constituent parts, it's 5 big things that go around punching stuff that are hard to kill.
Yeah.
And then there's other bits in the army that go and score some points. And there is one big tech piece in for a specific matchup, which I know the army's weak to. So if a new codex comes in, that, like you're saying, has just changed almost everything.
Yeah.
Is there still a way to get that when you've stripped it back down? Can I still get 5 really tough, fast, hard-hitting, hard-to-kill units in a list and enough stuff to then go and score and play the mission? And if it does, then great. I'll carry on playing them. Or it might well be that it becomes a totally different army, and you start looking at it thinking, well, it's not going to be 5 big killer bricks. It might be 8 to 10 smaller, really useful things that can go around, and it becomes an almost MSU, similar to the Harlequin list. But the honest answer is that I will wait and see what other people come up with. I will.
That's what I'm doing. I'm not doing the hard work.
This is very refreshing. I think sometimes people feel bad for doing this. So this is great. This is really good.
I think it's brilliant. I think everybody should share the lists, and I get loads of questions about the list that I'm running from people all over the world, some of whom I know. And they'll just be like, well, why are you taking this? I'm like, cool, I'll tell you. Because, that's how I came up with the list. So,
exactly.
Yeah.
It's sort of public knowledge, really, isn't it? Once this stuff goes out, it's all about figuring it out together.
Well, really that guy who does who's the guy who does the Reddit post with literally the day after. Monday morning. And he's got everything ready. What an absolute hero that guy is. He needs
incredible.
He needs a medal, definitely.
Yeah, he does. All right. Mike, we promised to keep it to a reasonable time. So I think the sensible thing to do is for us to say a huge thank you for coming on and let you go. So you can go and, as I say, very fulfilling life with a bunch of other things in it. So you can go and continue enjoying that and put Warhammer back in its box where it belongs. But thank you so much. Hopefully we'll see you out on the circuit very soon. And massive appreciation. And LGT,
Brilliant. Who's going to London, lads? Are you all there?
We'll be there. We'll be there en masse. So we'll see you there.
Well, great to see you there. Okay, right. Thanks very much, boys. See you later.
All right, pleasure talking.
See you later, Mike. Cheers, mate.
Watching these now. Oh, he's pressing the buttons. He's gone.
Oh, he's made it. Mike Porter's made it out of the building. What a legend! That was awesome.
Yeah, that was great.
Really, and I think the refreshing thing there is just the calm and normality. Rather, it's not sort of complete obsession. It's not overthinking everything. It's just a normal human having a good time playing the game, and that's what you want. Wonderful.
Just don't understand. I'm just confused.
Wonderful stuff. Maybe he'll win LGT after all that. That'd be amazing, wouldn't it? Right, we're going to rattle through some podcast questions, guys. And a little reminder, we are still one sub away from 6,000. I'd love to hit 6,000 on the show tonight. If someone is listening who has not yet subscribed, please do hit like and subscribe. Let's get to 6,000 tonight. That would be a really nice
during the show. Come on, just message your
and
mum,
if you have, go on, get your mum,
girlfriend, your boyfriend.
I think we're quite mum friendly. Nice, well-spoken young lads. What's not to like? So we're going to read through some podcast questions. If you have further questions, obviously do keep them coming in the chat. So there's a question about Rapid English, which we fielded in the chat already. MC asks, what kind of carry cases are you using when flying? I'm thinking of coming to LGT, but need to fly.
That's Paul Bridge.
There you go.
He's just confirmed that he is coming to LGT from Denmark.
That's fantastic news, Paul Bridge. Hopefully we can meet Paul Bridge.
I know,
LGT.
Paul Bridge.
Amazing.
But he needs to know what carry case. Now, I've never flown.
Well, if you want to go short haul, I've done it twice.
So
yes,
smash it, guys.
Yeah. So what I simply magnetize my bases. I use the War Mag boxes, which are essentially very useful boxes. The plastic ones. And then put them in a bag that I then take as carry-on luggage to basically on my Ryanair flight, essentially. So the big thing is, though, magnetize the bottom of your board, the bottom of that box. Now, to make sure things don't fall out if it rattles around or anything, because generally speaking, it shouldn't move too much if you've magnetized it well. I put clothes in there. So things like T-shirts, clean boxes, don't put dirty underwear on your models. They don't deserve that. Socks, all that kind of stuff that keeps them nice and cushioned in there. And that's what I do. That's what Aaron did a different thing. Actually, Aaron did the same as me, but then won a very fancy carry case when he was there. And you can buy these cases. They're very expensive. I think they're like 400 quid. But if you want to go on a budget, that's what I did, and it worked great with all my spiky Tyranids.
Amazing.
Scrivo, you got anything to add?
He looks like he does. He's making a little face.
I did the opposite. I went and bought the expensive metal kind of trade army case, and I found it's really good. The only downside to it is that you're kind of limited on how much you can physically get into it. Right. But for just as a carry-on, it was really good. It was I think it's the messenger case that A case sell. Pretty useful. Just if your magnets go on a figure though, it's going everywhere.
Yeah, so 100%. Some big news. We have hit 6,000 subscribers thanks to a little flurry. Look, several of you have chipped in at the death there. Sylvester of Terror got the girlfriend to subscribe. That got us to 6,000. We had a couple more come in. What a day!
What a day! On my birthday as well, guys. Oh, thank you so much.
You hit 6 likes.
Yeah, our actual channel birthday's on the 18th, so it would have been 4 in 8 days' time. Would have been 4 years old.
That's very exciting. Very, very exciting. And we're going to push on, see if we can hit another milestone before the end of the year, but we'll see. Obviously, our goal for this year was 5,000, so 6,000 is pretty sweet. Feels pretty good. Thanks to all of you for getting us there. Stacey Spears in the chat says the things I do for my boyfriend. Stacey, you're a hero.
To watch the show.
Massive appreciation, Stacey. You're going to become one of the world's best Warhammer players now, Stacey.
You're welcome.
Just watch Mike Porter back, and we'll help any way we can as well. Thank you to all of you.
We do coaching, Stacey.
Yeah, we do. We absolutely do. We can get you up to speed in no time. 6,003. We're racing through now. And thanks to all of you for being with us on this journey. And again, in a couple of years of doing the show, we've raced through, and now we can literally be asking some of the best players in the world, do you want to come and have a chat? And they will jump to be involved. And we can have a lovely chat of all of you nattering away as well. Feels amazing. We're going to keep on rolling. Got lots of exciting things to bring you. Okay. Next in the chat, we had some general natter about LGT food. My advice is just win your games early, and then the food's fine. If you don't win your games early, the food is tougher.
That is top advice. Don't sleep on that advice.
Yeah, honestly, if you're a get done 40 minutes before end of round, the food is fine, but the queues are pretty bonkers if you go to time. So having some sort of snack, as I think someone in the chat was advising, so you've got a snack for if you finish the game, you're hungry, you need something to tide you over whilst you queue. I think that's very, very advisable. Okay. And someone's talking about rotisserie chicken being set up next to the table. That's a beautiful idea.
To be fair, every year the food at LGT does improve.
Yeah.
So they've tried different systems, and they're easy improving every year. At the end of the day, there are 800-900 people there, quite a few of whom are trying to eat. You will probably end up queuing, but they have like 6-7 food vans, right? So there is reasonable turnover. But yeah, if you can finish early, then
if you have that power.
Good GT advice is to take snacks, right? Just always take snacks with you. Breakfast bars or all those
hydration and snacks are huge. They make a huge difference.
You always regret not taking them.
Rob Kimpton, who's not on the show tonight, every single event at the end, he just has a big bag of Haribo, like little packets, and he just hands them out to everybody. And it is life-changing. It is exactly what you need at the end of like game 5 or game 6. Just a little bit of sugar in there, just peps you back up. And so these little rituals, he's also always got loads of water. These rituals go a long way to helping you survive an event.
Is that double golden ticket winner Rob Kimpton? You take snacks and water.
That is. Oh, we've not even done that today because Mike Porter was on, and that overshadows any of Rob's pathetic achievements. But Rob, all
right. Second tier Archon.
Yeah, I know. I'm just jealous. Rob came 6th. We were at the Hellstorm GT a couple of weeks ago. Rob came 6th and got another golden ticket. That's the second time that boy has won a golden ticket. What an absolute legend! I think that makes it 4 for our team in recent times. So these things just stick to us. It's pretty exciting, pretty cool, and I won a can of yellow spray in the raffle. So I'm pretty good.
Real winner then.
I'm pretty good. So I'm in negotiations with Rob. I think we can do a deal. I think it'll be all right. We'll swap those right round. Sylvester of Terror says, so what you're saying is take Stacey along so I can play Warhammer and she can get me food while it's getting hot. Alternatively, Stacey plays, you get the food. So I think we've already established that Stacey's got 3 weeks. Stacey can be a world-class Warhammer player. If she watch exclusively this channel for 2 weeks, then go to LGT.
I did a video called 10 ways to become better player, and that will literally just get you there. Probably win LGT with it. So
100%.
I won't be, but
that video alone.
While we're talking about videos we've done, what videos have we got coming up?
That's actually a great question. We have got this week already. We've had a huge leap forward, which is a bug watch video that's already come out. Hormigants are going to feature, aren't they, Davey?
Well, they've already featured. It was yesterday.
Yeah, I know. But my point
Hormigants
is, if someone was going to
Hormigants?
watch them now, I believe it's Hormigants for those, Termagants for the other ones.
Yeah,
and we've also had.
We go through all the best Tyranid list last and stuff like that. So there's some really good ones across all different detachments yesterday. So go and watch that.
Beautiful. And we also had State of Play Imperial Agents with the lovely Sai, who up until very recently was the only Imperial Agents player in the world. He is a lovely man. He's exactly the kind of nutter that we at 6 Plus love. And me and him had a great conversation about the new book, and actually he gave us a ton of insights into Imperial Agents. Really smart guy, lots of useful little tidbits if you're looking to play the Imperial Agents book going forwards. And then lined up for later this week, we have got Rock and Stone is returning. If you like Leagues of Votan, that's coming back. I've done a good, bad, and the ugly for Votan in Pariah Nexus to tide you over as me, James, and Jake get ready to actually find time in our schedules to all be in the same place again.
Jake played Votan the weekend, didn't he?
He did. Jake is actually back on the Votan trail. He might well be taking them to LGT. He's excited.
Live on stream, House Storm stream. Was it Goonhammer?
Yeah.
Goonhammer. Game 1, Jake plays Votan on there and wins. So if you like Votan.
Yeah, 100%. He had a great run. He played very well. And so, yeah, still kicking with the Votan, and we'll try and get a show with all of us together soon. And then coming out later this week, we've also got, I have done a foray into Age of Sigmar. So if you want to learn what a 40k nerd thinks about, particularly the Seraphon of Age of Sigmar, that's coming out later in the week as well. That's going to be a sort of hobby, fun project as I sort of figure out Seraphon and play some Age of Sigmar games until, as it's me, so I'll inevitably become carried away with it and take it too seriously at some stage, but I'm going to enjoy it whilst it's not at that point. So those are the only things I think we definitely have coming this week.
Yeah, I've got my...
John's making a no face. John, what's happening this week?
I've done slides. I just need to film it. So I've got the first episode of a new series called The Red Thirst. No, The Black Rage. The Black Rage. I'm so good at names. There's so many options. Where I just go through the Blood Angels Codex and just kind of tell you what's changed, just so that you can kind of get up to speed with what's coming. Obviously, I'm not talking about points, but some of the data sheets are wildly different. So
it's a big change, isn't it, for the book? So, and John has plenty of expertise.
And shout out to Paul Bridge, who's the counter to my Oliver. Oliver hates me, but Paul Bridge likes my Grey Knight videos. And Paul, it will be out it'll probably be out next week, because basically it's the next episode is what am I taking to LGT? And I'll be honest with you, I've got no fucking clue. So I'm having I'm having an absolute crisis with list building with Grey Knights at the moment. It's been going badly, and I'm at a bit of a loss. So until I've got my head straight, I don't really want to do a video where I'm like, I did this RTT where I tried out a bit of a funky list and it was shit, and I still don't know what I'm taking. So I just want to make sure I've got that. And then finally, if you've all watched our teaser trailer, which you obviously all have, on Sunday the 15th is going to be coming an announcement. Announcement. Okay.
Serious announcement, not this alluding we've been doing.
A real deal announcement. If you haven't watched our teaser trailer yet, go watch it. And it's probably work out maybe something. But Sunday the 15th is keep an eye out for a new video that we've not actually filmed yet, but we'll hopefully film soon. Probably designing something for it.
Probably.
Yeah, it
smells like something that's going to come together really well and on time. I'm excited.
Smoothly. Definitely Sunday the 15th, guys.
Across the table says the announcement is you're having a baby.
I
mean, Chris actually is having a baby.
Hopefully it's not on Sunday the 15th, though.
That'd be awkward.
Yeah, get in the way.
Sorry, dear. I'm just posting to YouTube. This is kind of important, you know.
If we don't get recorded on time, Chris might have to have another baby for that to be the announcement.
That would be exciting, or not.
We had a question asking what people were taking to LGT in the chat. So, I mean, to build on that, Chris is obviously umming and ahhing about his Grey Knight.
I'm taking Grey Knights because I've got an outside chance at number one Grey Knight player. As long as I'm the best Grey Knight player at LGT, there's a decent chance I've just got to do well. I've got to go at least 4-1, which at LGT you can absolutely do by not even.
You can 100% do it. Yeah.
I mean, so LGT last year I got to 4, and I played Mike Porter in round 5, so I have done okay at LGT before. I'm just in a bad vein of form, and how Mike was talking about that confidence level. You go to an event and you're like, yeah, of course I'm going to do well. And that's what I've been like before. At the moment, I'm the opposite of that. I turn up to the table and I start doubting everything I do, and it's just going badly. So I'm not actually in a good, confident place. I'm taking Grey Knights, but I just don't
3 Land Raiders. That's what you need.
I'm not taking vehicle spam Grey Knights, despite Oliver's attempt at me on the channel. Anyway, over to you guys.
Lives in your head rent free, doesn't
he? He really does.
John is actually running something at LGT, aren't you, John? So you're not going to be playing, but tell people about that.
Currently, I will be playing. That's the irony of it.
Oh, really? Oh, cool.
So I've last minute. I say last minute, like 2 months ago, Zach asked me to stand in as the TO for the 40k narrative. So first time I've done it at that sort of scale, but it's actually going to be smaller than the events I've kind of run. So it's going to be quite fun, and I'm going to turn up with my army that I was going to take anyway. So it should be good fun.
Beautiful. Lovely.
Testament to how cool of a person you are, mate.
Yeah. And for myself, it's that same thing where like there's a couple of factions I could place high for. So Dracaria, I'm in a good spot to place high for if I have a good result. I am in direct competition with our very own Rob Kimpton if I do that, which mentally sometimes that's fun and sommes that's not fun. Can you guess when it's fun and when it's not fun?
Currently, it's not fun, right?
I'm in very good form with Dracaria and I can play them very consistently. I don't think they're a top of the meta army in terms of once you get through to those later rounds. I know for a fact they have a tougher time, but they'll get you to a solid outcome at LGT if they can just dodge a couple of armies. So that's the logical choice. It did cross my attention recently that if someone like Greg Chamberlain does not play Votan at LGT, I could nick best Votan if I had a good run on that, because I think I'm 3rd for Votan and not too far behind. So I could just say, F it, we take the Votan and just try and scrap to a decent score with the Votan. Or I could take something different altogether. And there are a couple of other things I've been trying with a much more sort of what can actually hang in different situations and matchups kind of place, but I haven't landed definitively on any of those yet. Realistically, probably Dracaria or Votan, because there's only so much time in my life to actually get anything together.
So no, not Night Lords then.
Not Night Lords, probably not Night Lords. They're coming to Faustus. They're coming to your narrative event. But I don't know. They're going to be ready on time before this, so we'll see. It should be really fun. I really enjoy LGT. I always find you coming into LGT off the summer. I've always had a quite disrupted summer. I've never played as much as I have in, say, the winter, and I'm never. It's like Chris is saying. I never feel as in form or as on song going into LGT as other chunks of the year, and so you just have to go in and just style it out and see how you go. I haven't got time to play like events beforehand, but I felt like at Goonhammer I was in very good form and played the matchups I had very well. So we'll see. Gonna be fun. Obviously, we'll have a whole ton of us there, so do come and say hello. Everybody who chats or listens, come and say hello at LGT. That's when we can get to know and meet as many of you as possible, so we're really, really hyped to do that. Paul Bridge asks, how popular are 1,000 Suns in England? Less than they just were, but they are still around. They definitely are still around.
And there's a lot of Grey Knight chat going on at the moment. That is one of the main things for the list building is if you don't take librarians, there's a very good chance you just get walked over if you play into 1,000 Suns. So you just have to make that decision and that gamble. Like Libby's are obviously decent, but there's other ways of playing them. But if you don't take the Libby's as a Grey Knights player, you're kind of just accepting if you're playing to 1,000 Suns player of similar skill level to you, you're going to lose. And it's like, well, there's going to be 900 players here. Let's say, I don't know, 30 of them 1,000 Sun players. Are you going to hit one in the 5 rounds? You don't know. So you have to make that decision, don't you? And it's the same with sort of like Drago and all those sorts of things. So it's we've spoken about this. There's a lot of chat going on in our WhatsApp chat at the moment about obviously what we're taking and what things we're going to try and beat and play. And the reality is just take a list that you enjoy, because I've taken top tier meta lists before and not done well because I've just run into bad matchups or I've not played well. And other times I've taken lists I've enjoyed and I've actually done better. So I think
exactly right.
I'm trying to take my own advice and not overthink things. But
that's completely right. I think you just have to rock up on with the LGT crowd. It's so big you do not know what you'll play. You have absolutely no idea. I think my first round LGT a couple of years ago was 120 demonettes. I have that list doesn't exist. That's not a thing anyone does. I've never heard of that. I've never seen that before in my life. You never know what you'll play for the first couple of rounds because there's so many people there. And then once you get up into the top, the field is still so big that who you'll play and what they'll be on is anyone's guess. It's not like a smaller GT where you're going to hit your sisters or your hypercrypt or whatever else, or it just isn't like that. So I think what matters is that you're happy and comfortable on what you're running, above all else. Cool. Okay. Any other podcast questions? We have got Chris the Glove asked if you could choose one faction to get nerfed, just because, not because it's overpowered, just nerf it. Which faction would you choose?
Tom would choose Drakari. Custodes, sorry, I assume.
Yeah, I would actually. I would absolutely fucking nerf Custodes. Any army involving 4-up invulnerable save, tough, slow guys, just nerf them all. They can all go in the ground.
How dare you?
I hope I want, and if the next day it's like literally just takes away the buffs they just gave Dark Angels, I would be delighted. I would be absolutely delighted.
That would be jokes.
Anything with the word knight. Big and small.
Thank goodness for Inner Circle companions, then. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. How about you guys?
Yeah, knights for me. I just hate them. I hate playing them. It's just, no fun.
Chaos Demons.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't like them as a faction.
You don't like Franco? Okay.
No, from a thematic standpoint, the fact you can have all 4 gods on the table together.
Yeah, that
doesn't
dumb.
feel right.
That is dumb.
So nerf them into the sea.
There's one army that sets me on edge the most, and it's Drakari. I'm never comfortable playing against
I hate
Drakari.
those players.
Players. But yeah, every time I
win,
all those vehicles, what the fuck's in them? Oh, they can get everywhere. I'd actually probably love to play the army, funny enough.
Yeah,
but
it's a lot of fun.
Army.
Yeah, it does look a lot of fun. Army. It just sets me on edge, so I would have to be them. Sorry, Tom.
I mean, they're about to get nerfed, I expect. So that's good. That's going to be fun. Yeah, sad times for the Drakari. Too close to the sun.
Probably as well, too, son.
Yeah.
Stick 100 points.
Ultimate Funk asked that. Do you think as Games Workshop embraces competitive play more and more, you could see a situation where they sell set decks army boxes? As in, they sell army boxes right now, but what if they started selling like full 2K lists in an army box? Could you see them going, buy Manny's Cultist CSM for 2K GT, try out this Dark Angels Gladius list in a box, and would this be a good thing?
Well, can I give a little take on this? So I did a bit of analysis on like different channels, including us, and seeing like how many viewers they had, how many videos they did, etc., etc. And what you find is a massive pyramid of loads of views at the bottom, and it's kind of like what kind of skill level that's aimed at. Or not what it's aimed at, but how inclusive it is. So, for example, like the most competitive stuff or the highest, like that does have significantly less views to say things like play on tabletop, tabletop tactics, all those kind of channels that are just like more casual. Yeah. So I think one of the things we sometimes get into a world of is everyone who plays 40k is a competitive 40k player. In reality, there's a very small community compared to all of the garage hammer that's going on in the world at the moment. So, and that's kind of great as well, right? All those people are potentially tournament goers in the future, but they are massive. It's like that community of the garage hammer or the more casual stuff is just so big. I don't think set armies really tickle their fancy. Actually, the fluffy box is what really tickles their pickles.
The cool units, right?
Yeah.
Not 180 racks or whatever it is.
What is it? What was it called? The Christmas box last year for 9th edition with all the sneaky Space Marines.
Vanguard.
The Vanguard.
Yeah.
That the amount of people that wanted that to become actually a good list, and they did that like
why is there Reavers
army
in this?
Renown.
Oh.
Yeah, and it was awful, but people wanted it to work because they love the fluff of it.
Yeah, I don't see GW selling Magic's
just a different vibe, really. There's a lot more of, in terms of Magic, you've got your Friday Night Magic, you've got pre-releases which are like fun, competitive. you've got really high quality live streaming and that sort of thing, and huge money on the pro circuit. It's just a bit of a different vibe to 40k.
And building a deck is not the time sink in the same way as building and painting 2,000 points. Yeah. Even just to a really rushed standard, still takes hundreds of hours.
Yeah, or a few days if you're Edwards.
Yes, indeed.
5 working days.
Yeah,
yeah. Our next question is from Hannibal, who asks, after Chaos Cultists at Nova, Innis on GSC at Hellstorm, and Black Templars, do you think Hordes are back on the menu? And if you were going to run a Horde, what Horde would you choose to run?
Nah, I hope so.
I have Innis's list in my garage, so I could just play that.
So I did see someone take that against one of the NID lists I reviewed yesterday, and it got battered.
Yeah, I mean, it can get battered. That's the thing with GSC. They can absolutely get run over.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily fair to call that a Horde list. It's sort of mech trash, isn't it, in a way? It's got trucks and...
How many bodies do they have?
Not that many.
Oh, really?
But they come back.
Yeah.
It's like... Yeah, it's really not. It's probably got less infantry on the board than the Blood Angels army. It's just that it's got vehicles and stuff to put them in. I think Hordes are back to an extent. It's a very balanced game, which means that people have to tech for all sorts of things, which actually means running a lol, it's one thing is very effective, right? Because your chances of hitting lists that are not built to deal with just the one thing are quite high. Which is why Knights have been doing just fine in this recent version of the game, despite essentially not being great, because ultimately people have to tech for all sorts of things. So actually their anti-Knight capacity is lower. I don't think we're going to see tons of them about. And I use the example of Ed Watts in our team chat, where we only had to talk about Forge Fiends for about 2 hours, and he abandoned Black Templars forever, because there are just things you can do that really ruin those lists if you are prepared for them. The Templars list was beautiful at WTC because no one had the stuff for it. No
and
it teams. They'd guessed it right. They'd guessed that there wouldn't be enough out there that had the build for that and was all built up for other things. And then they executed it perfectly and paired it perfectly. How good it's actually going to be in singles, as I was saying to other people talk about it, it has not achieved anything in singles. Really. Like, it won War Masters at the same event as WTC. We've not seen the Templars Horde list actually genuinely take things down on a regular basis like a lot of other armies have. So there's a reason for that, right? There might be a few reasons for that. GSC, we will see. Is Innis brilliant or a GSC good? I think probably Innis is brilliant. And also he definitely had the surprise factor there. But we will certainly find out if it's any good.
And like armies nowadays just have like, oh, by the way, I've got this anti-infantry. You're like,
yeah.
I guess for that, well, I guess fuck me then.
Yeah. They can just casually backhand infantry, right? So many armies can.
It's just, I look at it now as someone that used to take a lot of orc spam lists where there was lots of bodies in 8th edition. I look at it now and go, most of my armies could deal with that. So I have no interest in doing it myself because it hurts your back.
Yeah, this is the tricky thing. I'm trying to figure it out with gaunts, and you're like, well, I can take 120 gaunts, but then I could pull up against 100 Crusaders who all have 2 wounds and a 3-up armor save, and they're toughness 4.
It doesn't feel fair.
It doesn't feel fair. So yeah, I think you might see a little bit. What we tend to see actually is a lot of a bit of Horde and a bit of other stuff. Whereas if you think of Unending Swarm, when Sam Pope was doing really well, it was very much like 80%, 90% chaff, and then 10% kill the things that kill the chaff.
Yeah.
But now you have to kind of balance it all out.
Yeah. And the Chaos Cultists was getting some love in the chat. And obviously, Accursed Cultists are just good, right? Triple Accursed Cultists in any of those detachments works great. And the Chaos Cultist makes those particularly crazy. And again, that guy had the surprise factor. People don't know what that list does, and they get pinned in, and basically it can hit you straight away in the face. Horde advance and charge you turn 1. Yeah, that's absolutely right. But again, there are ways to stop a Horde advancing you and charging you turn 1. There is play from there. But I think it's the tricks and the output in that, and also just the amount of space it takes up. And this is something I've talked about on Goonhammer before, is part of the beauty of that list is there are a lot of armies in the meta whose assumption is there will be space on the board to play in. And they're often 3-inch deep striking armies, your Grey Knights, your Hypercrypt, whatever else. Those armies literally shut down if you can just cover the entire board in bodies like that list can. they cannot do anything. They can't even come back. If they go up, they can't even get back in the space they've left if you push them hard enough. So I think that sort of build works incredibly effectively into the sort of subcategory of army that is uppy downing, and there's a bunch of them around. It really pins those in, and it's very effective into those, and then it can just jail everything else in the standard way. So, but it's you could. As I said, I've got to see it played to know. Maybe it's terrain type, but again, a lot of armies will be able to hoover that up if they're built the right way. Very interesting. Maybe Hordes will win LGT, and I'll have to change my tune. Zito then asks, speaking of Horde armies, any tips against 110 jackals?
Were they 6 upfield or 5 upfield on pain, or 6 up?
5 up on pain. Yeah.
Oh, and 5 up invuln because the Demon Prince is next to them.
That's right.
Yeah, 5 up, 5 up. So it's basically a 3 up or something. Right?
I actually think Zito on Death Guard, you're better placed than a lot of armies to deal with this, Zito. So just play your normal game. You've got your Death Guard love infantry that want to come and cuddle them. So just play the game. Remember, it's going to take up a lot of space, and just try and cull your way out of there. That's how it is.
Although I wouldn't mind 150 gaunts versus 110 jackals in the final.
That'd be a really fun game.
That'd be a fun TTS game to watch. Yeah.
And if you're
so many bodies,
it's so boring, so long.
Just shoot it. That's the thing. I couldn't. I had to keep just moving forward, and then she'd move back. So if you can shoot them, great.
Yeah. Zito in the chat says, I'm very much looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it on your behalf. I hope you have a great game. Josie is a star. You'll have a good time. And once again, just to shout out everyone who's been involved in the TTS League. It has been super, super fun. Obviously, for a couple of us playing, it was hard actually this time because we had WTC. We had a lot of disruption, but it's been so fun watching you all play your games. It's been really fun getting to meet and talk to so many of you. I had my favorite game was probably against Slops, Tyranids versus Night Lords, where I did not play very good at the start, but then we had a very, very good game after that. That was an incredible game. And it's been super fun. Yes. Well, I tried to battle shock him over and over again, and he rolled 3 dice because he's a Tyranid, and I couldn't get it to work. And then he battle shocked the living daylights out of me in reply. But it's been wonderful, and we're really excited for the winter season of that. So do get involved. Oh, Chris Mason's just upgraded their membership. Thank you, Chris. If you want to play, as Chris has just done, get your membership sorted out, upgrade it. You can come and you can play in the Winter League. And obviously, if you want to come and get mentoring and coaching as well, you can do that too.
And if you have any questions, just reach out to me on the Discord. I'm Swissly on the Discord. I run them, so just give me a shout and I can help you out.
Yeah, and thank you, Davey. Let's do some thank yous to our team whilst we're in a grateful mood. I'm excited today. Davey, thank you for running King of the Pig. It's been amazing. And Chris, you're really old now. Well done. Have a little clap for being old. Happy birthday.
Thank you. 36, baby.
Thank you.
Oh my God,
thank you for all that you do.
Ancient.
I think that's a great place to end it. Thank you all for tuning in. We will see you again next time, and we will do what we normally do, which is talk very excitedly about 40k. Bye-bye.